All right, so hello and welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. I'm Scott, and today what we are doing is, of course, the build-up show for Survivor Series WarGames. Going to be an interesting one. Going to be the first time, of course, that we see a WarGames match at Survivor Series. Quite ironic, really, when you think about WarGames' is kind of origins. But hey, it's going to be an interesting one. Not only are we going to get one, of course, we're going to get two of them, a men's version and a women's version. So what we're going to do tonight is preview the card, get yourselves excited for the event, hopefully at least, because it does seem to be pretty stacked, to be fair. So it's not going to be just me. We're going to be joined by some special guests along the way as well. But what we're going to do now is throw over to the intro.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
All right, so yeah, as we said, we're talking War Games tonight. We're talking Survivor Series in general, and it is a pretty stacked card. We're going to be running through the card, of course, as we go throughout the night. We're going to be talking predictions and things like that. I know some people do like to watch this on demand, even though the show is over, because we do go quite in depth on some kind of random, interesting topics as well. So if you fancy join the chat, let us know. Of course, hit us in the comments here throughout the night, and yeah, we'll get to them as we go along. Let us know what you think is going to happen at Survivor Series. Like I said, it's going to be an interesting event. Quite looking forward to seeing what we've got on this card. I'm going to quickly run through some of it at the moment. Of course, we've got the SmackDown Women's title the match for it between Ronda Rousey and Shotzi. Nice little clip I was just watching a moment ago before coming on air, actually, about Shotzi dedicating this to her father as well. So that was nice to see. To be honest, I don't think it's going to go much further than that, because I can't see her winning. But hey, that's a spoiler for later on in the night. Also, of course, we've got Finn Balor versus AJ Styles. This is going to be an interesting one. Of course, a lot of people saying this is, potential for a match of the night, but also I could see this being at a WrestleMania, to be fair. So interesting to have it here at a Survivor Series. Not a Survivor Series, it isn't a big event. And finally, they are treating it like it is as well. And also on top of that as well, we've got Bobby Lashley versus Austin Theory, and of course the champion Seth Rollins defending his US title here tonight as well. And then, of course, we've got the men's War Games match. As you can see, the Bloodline over here versus Brawling Brutes plus Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens. And then the women's one wasn't kind of announced until very recently, as you can see from the graphic there. Now the graphics changed. There we go. Becky Lynch is in on the match as well. So that's going to be an interesting one to kind of analyze throughout the night. I'm sure it's going to be really interesting. I'm still not quite sure myself whether or not Becky coming back then was a good time, but hey, here it is. Speaking of Becky, we've got our own fiery redhead coming in now. Just going to add Michelle to the screen. Hey, Michelle.
Hey, Scott, can you hear me okay?
I can. Look at you. Look.
I'm here. I'm actually looking like the love child of Becky Lynch or one of the Usos at the moment, though.
Oh, wait. Why the Usos?
Because I got my shiny leggings and my Air Jordans on. So.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant a t-shirt. What's that? Seth Rollins t-shirt?
It is a Seth Rollins t-shirt. It is.
You're representing the whole roster.
Representing all of Raw and half of SmackDown.
Yeah, nice. So, of course, you're out and about, ready to watch Survivor Series at a bar, right?
I am. So some of you might know that there's a company called Hooked on Wrestling Events, and they do live screenings of things like WrestleMania and the Rumble, and they are doing their first one of Survivor Series because of the demand for War Games was so big. So we're here, not at our usual bar, but we're here at a bar in Highbury. The DJs and quiz haven't started yet, which is probably the best because I pretty much always come last at the quiz. It's quite shameful.
Okay.
You need to come along to one. We need some real knowledge. But we're here getting hired. Like all the booths are full. It's gonna be really, really good.
Oh, nice. What's the atmosphere like? When did it open?
The bar's been open all night, but they closed at 10:30, ready for the event. And I think the quiz is kicking off in about half an hour, as is the raffle, and they'll have some music and stuff. It's really good. Paul, the organizer, is around somewhere, but I don't know where. They were getting ready for it, but yeah.
And what about the music then? What, they're just playing like wrestling themes and stuff like that?
It will be once the DJs, and it'll be wrestling themes and kind of link bands, obviously. But yeah, it's always good fun. Weirdly, they always say the Usos music, so me and my friend get here in our Usos shirt. She's got a Usos shirt on tonight, not me, but there we go. So,
nice one. And how are you feeling about the show itself? Are you excited?
Yeah, I am excited. Because obviously it's the first time we've seen WarGames in the main roster, which will be really interesting. I know when it was first voted, a lot of people thought it would be Bloodline versus Judgment Day, but obviously having heel versus heel is always going to be a bit weird. I think so many people were expecting Sasha to be the fifth member, and to watch Becky come out last night was real good, really exciting. It should be good. You know, how many promos will Bray Wyatt cut tonight? Who knows?
Yeah, good point, actually. I wonder if they're going to do anything with it.
I mean, a part of me was thinking it was interesting. There were only 5 matches, but the WarGames matches have 10 participants, so that's 2 real big matches. They do take ages. They do take ages to get started, and it's really good to see. It's really good to see Brutes and Sheamus getting a big push, because I think they really deserve it. Obviously, I'm sure you probably covered it before I came on air around SmackDown, or what happened last night with Sami and Kevin and everyone, which makes things infinitely more interesting.
No, I didn't cover it. You tell me. I haven't seen it.
Did you not? You've not seen it?
I don't know what's happened. I'm out of the
All right. So I only saw the highlights, but basically, Sami was about to go into the Bloodline dressing room, and Kevin Owens followed him and was basically saying, you might hear the wrestling themes there, basically saying, if they don't turn, you should turn on them before they turn on you. Like they're gonna punish you. They're gonna punish you. And then Jey Uso is being Double OJ, listening very indiscreet at the door. So And
I like that.
Sami came into the dressing room, and Jey was like, "Who are you talking to?" And Sami was like, "No one." So.
I like that. I don't think we're going to get anything like that just yet. I like that.
I think there's so many things. I think now it's too early to have the turn. I think the turn will come at Rumble, but.
Yeah, if anywhere, or even longer than that. I can see him waiting.
Maybe.
Not at Mania, but yeah, the build to from Rumble to Mania anyway. But anyway, thanks for joining us, Michelle. I'm going to let you go because I could appreciate it's getting a bit loud. See, I'm shouting. I'm not even there. Go and enjoy. That's Eddie Guerrero's theme there, right? So,
it is one of his many themes. I hope you will enjoy it. We have a real good time. Still, as much as I'm a Becky Lynch fan, I kind of still want Damage Control to win.
Damage Control, yeah.
I think it feeds into the whole pinned her, but not for the belt narrative. But anyway, there we go.
They've not looked great lately, so it'd be good to get
They need it. Anyway, I hope everyone enjoys the show. I hope everyone has a really good time. We certainly will here. So obviously he's starting to pick up now. You can already see him here.
Looking good.
And I'm ready to come to last place finisher and the quiz as usual.
Enjoy yourself. All right. Thanks for coming on.
See you later.
See you
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye. There you go. Some live, well, not quite live at the show, but the next best thing, live at a bar where people are watching the show and getting excited about it as well. Pretty cool atmosphere. If you've ever been to a wrestling event, well, not so much at the event again, but to a bar. What do you think of those kind of events? I really enjoy them. I really think they're good fun to watch together. I know sometimes in places it's hard because you can't hear the commentary and stuff like that. But for certain events, I think it's all right, you know, especially the bigger ones. I think the Royal Rumble, great one. I've watched the WrestleMania in a bar a few months ago, actually, in New York, which is a fantastic experience as well. So, nice to see that. And hopefully Michelle has a good time. And but hopefully everyone that's watching this has a good time, obviously, on the stream, but also tonight for the show. It's going to be a big one. As we mentioned, we kind of roughly ran down the card already. As Michelle mentioned there, I didn't actually see what happened on SmackDown. So that's great to kind of be filled in there because sadly I've been a bit kind of held up and I wasn't able to see that. So that's quite interesting, actually. But of course, that match could, well, what we saw there apparently could affect what we see here in the men's War Games match, of course, with Sami Zayn there. And I always thought when they brought Kevin Owens in, it was smart because he's a great character. He's a great worker in the main event anyway. Has a history of the War Games and also has that history with Sami Zayn. So I'm glad that they are kind of playing into it. But let's start going through some of our other thoughts on the event as well. Like I said earlier on, with Becky Lynch being announced, it was great to see her come back when that music hit. It was great. She got great reception from the fans and stuff like that. But I just wonder whether or not it was the right time. We're going to get Rob to join us in a bit, so it'll be interesting to hear what he thinks about it. But that is the one thing I did see from last night SmackDown was the return of Becky Lynch. Glad she's back. It makes sense that she is that kind of fifth member of the team because she was clearly going to be in this feud anyway. So yeah, and I'm glad she's back. She's healthy, it seems. So that's pretty great to see. I just don't know if doing the pop on SmackDown was a good idea. Maybe it would have been a better moment to do it on Survivor Series. But then I guess the argument to that is two things. Number one, it sells Survivor Series, if there's still people on the fence about it. And number two, when Sasha Banks' music doesn't hit, you don't start booing Becky Lynch on the night because you think it's going to be Sasha, So I guess you could argue they had that same risk on SmackDown, but the way they kind of set it up was a little bit different. So I don't think it was too much of a concern there as well. So like I said, looking forward to seeing her back in the ring. I'm not quite sure the order of the matches tonight. It will be interesting to see how they pace the event because usually when you get these two gimmick matches like this, they try and spread them out. If it's the Chamber, one at the beginning, one at the end. If it's Hell in a Cell, one at the beginning, one at the end. I'm not sure if they'll do that with War Games because, well, as when we were doing the predictions on our predictions episode the other day, Rob was kind of saying that some of his predictions fed into what he thought was going to happen in other matches as well. So, we recently did our predictions and preview episode. If you had have a chance to see that, of course, not much time now, but if this stream does end a little bit before the show, then feel free to go check that out as well on this channel. But what we usually do here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel is cover an event with the predictions and preview about a week before, and then we'll all kind of get back together for the build up. I know that sounds silly. I'm the only one here at the moment, but Michelle was just here, and we are getting Rob back very soon as well. And then we kind of go over the additions to the card. Of course, when we did our predictions, we didn't know what that final, who the final member was going to be in the War Games match, and we also didn't know about the US title match. So that's going to be interesting to talk to Rob about that as well. And then after the event, of course, this again, continue what the build-up show is. If this is your first time here, we basically preview the event. That's the whole point of it, getting yourself and ourselves hyped up for the show. And it's always a good bit of fun to do, kind of gets everybody in the mood. So that's fun. And then, of course, the next day, we always try and come back with a recap and review as well to kind of wrap it up with a nice little kind of bow on the top of the present that is a PLE from the WWE. So speaking of presents from the WWE, we've also been talking real deep recently about the Shield, of course, because as I'm sure you're aware, they just celebrated 10 years in the WWE. Well, not so much in the WWE, because, of course, the man in the middle of your screen there is no longer in the company, sadly. But, hey, he's doing well, doing good things on the other side, so that's okay. And what we're talking about here is whether or not this is the best ever faction. Now, I know we could talk Horsemen, we could talk NWO, we could talk DX, but surely the Shield have to be in that conversation. That's something that kind of came up recently when we did a watch-along on this channel for Survivor Series 2012. Myself and Rob, basically, if you haven't experienced a watch-along before, basically you're watching the show along with us. We tell you when to start the show, and we'll kind of act as a running commentary with that. But then at the end of the show, we give it a little bit of a recap as well. We thought it'd be quite fitting, being the 10th anniversary of that show. And I got to be honest, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched the stream there, Survivor Series 2012 wasn't the greatest show, but what happens at the end is definitely worth it. So if you want to kind of do the whole watch-along experience, we would appreciate if you give that a little watch. If not, if you just want to check out us talking about the Shield, then there's a video on this channel of just that clip there as well. I say clip, is still about a 35-minute deep discussion as well. Talking Survivor Series, another great anniversary. We got 20 years since Survivor Series, where we saw the first ever Elimination Chamber. Thought it'd be interesting to do that one coming up to this anniversary, not only the 20 years, but again, because this Survivor Series is quite different. We've got a new match type taking over. You know, we went on about it quite a lot in our preview and predictions episode, actually, but it's a real shame to not see the traditional 5-on-5 or 4-on-4 Survivor Series match. So yeah, I'd love to hear your kind of thoughts on that, guys. So let us know in the comments what you think about us losing that, really. I do think Survivor Series kind of ran its course as far as the brand versus brand rubbish. I hated the fact that suddenly people cared about what show they were on 2 weeks before the event, and had to wear those stupid t-shirts. Even worse when they were half and half t-shirts. But we've moved away from that. But that's not to say that the whole kind of what do you call it? The whole brand versus brand thing couldn't have worked. It was just lazily done, let's be fair. And I really do think it could have worked at another time. It did work at other times as well. There were kind of years where it was kind of entertaining, but you know, not always, to be fair. But again, let us know what you think is going to happen tonight at Survivor Series. What are you most looking forward to? What do you think about losing these traditional matches? And what do you think about War Games? That was another thing we kind of dove into on that podcast as well. Is that Lucas, for example, from this channel, he's not really a fan of the War Games concept. Dan sent in his messages, not really a fan either. Me and Rob are kind of on the fence, I think, from what I remember. But yeah, I like the War Games, but I think the first few, I'm talking WWE version at least, the first few in NXT, I thought were really, really good. And then I just kind of got bored of them. They weren't going well. And I think the last one or two, however many, I don't know, I haven't watched. We were shocked when we looked at how many there's been in WWE. I think it's something ridiculous, like 11 or something already, when there's only been a match in WWE for about 4 or 5 years. But of course, when you have 2 per event, sometimes that's where these numbers start stacking up. And again, that kind of adds into, when we talk about the Hell in the Cell, of course, how that's kind of run its course now, because it's no longer that blood feud and kind of big blow off of a feud. It's just boring, you know. Like, how many great cell matches have there been in the last 15 years? Not many, which is a real shame, because it used to be, you know, one of the pinnacle match types in WWE. So that's a real shame. So hopefully War Games doesn't go that way, but I'm all for kind of trying to breathe new life into Survivor Series and kind of freshen it up. Going to get to a comment here as well from Richard Robles. Thank you very much, Richard, for joining us and sending in your comment. Again, anyone watching live or in demand, we always get back to your comments there as well. But if you're watching live, of course, this is a very kind of in the moment stream, don't get me wrong. But we'll go through your comments as well. But Richard says, Team Bianca will win. Bloodline wins, AJ wins, Ronda wins, Theory is US champion, and then Karrion Kross challenges his warrant. Okay, right, let's break this down one by one. Bianca, like, okay, Team Bianca, okay, I can see that. The Bloodline, I can definitely see that. AJ Styles, yeah, that makes sense. Ronda, I think, is likely as well. Now, the interesting one for me is the one that you mentioned there, Richard, of Theory winning the US title. Now, that's a strange one. Quite strange in the sense that he just missed an opportunity. You think, really, is he really going to win it after not kind of being successful with his cash-in? Not sure about that. But then I know that's kind of changed his character. So you could argue that, yeah, it was still beneficial to have the cash-in fail because he changed character, and that wouldn't have happened. That's part of the story. That's what got him to where he is now, you know. But I think it'd be hard for people to look past the fact he had the briefcase, and he could have just done it, you know. So yeah. Anyway, and then you say that you think Karrion Kross will challenge him for it. So that's an interesting point there. I think Karrion needs something to do, because that feud with Drew is pretty much wrapped up now. So it would make sense for him to move on to something like that. And you know, what are you guys thinking of Karrion Kross? It's always hard to get the kind of consensus of what the fans think of Karrion Kross. It doesn't seem to be getting the fans' reactions. I think he has been seriously damaged by his first run on the main roster, and just how kind of weird and clunky that was. But it was a different time now, different era. So, you know, he's got that going for him at least. And putting him back with Scarlett, I think, has been great. But yeah, it's not quite clicked, you know. So hopefully we'll get that soon. And maybe that's it. You know, a reign with a title like that, because I don't think no one's ready, it seems, to go near Roman Reigns and the world title. So you kind of need to utilize these secondary titles. And I think giving it to Seth is quite good. I've enjoyed seeing Seth with it. But the Bobby Lashley reign wasn't as kind of good as I hoped. And I think that was exactly that he was ready for a title picture, main event scene, and kind of he was working really, really well. And they kind of rewarded him with the next best thing, which was the US title. But again, that that reign didn't go quite how I thought it would. I was ready for like another kind of dominant Bobby Lashley like he was when he was the WWE champ. But again, I guess there's only so much you can do with these titles. But yeah, of course, the main event scene is still clogged up by Roman Reigns. And as much as I've enjoyed it, it does make things a little bit difficult, doesn't it? When you've got 2 titles on one person. Number one, we've mentioned that over the kind of past few months and stuff like that quite a lot. But also when you've got Survivor Series, and as much as I'm excited to see the Bloodline in a match together, don't get me wrong, it's just another example that, well, because he's in this match, we don't even have a world title match, you know? So that's a bit of a strange one for me, but hey, it is where it is. Josh, thank you very much for your comment, mate. What are your thoughts on how Wyatt will be involved in this pay-per-view? So I'm not sure if you were with us, Josh, when we just had Michelle, who just joined us as well. She came on and basically was saying the same sort of thing, you know, what we're going to have as far as Bray Wyatt goes. So he's been doing, of course, all this stuff with LA Knight, and I'm enjoying seeing LA Knight back. My big fear was that Bray would come in and kind of, I don't know, be so loved that it would be difficult for a heel. For a babyface if he was a heel. And I'm not quite sure what either of them are, to be honest. So maybe that's a good thing. But yeah, if anything's going to happen, it's got to be between the two of them. I did see a clip. Again, I didn't really see SmackDown, but I assume it was on SmackDown where they showed another one of those Uncle Howdy teasers. And it was a quick frame where you saw the new Nexus. So that was quite interesting. I don't think it means much as far as, I don't think we're getting Heath Slater back tonight or anything like that. But I think it's more about playing on Bray's past, which is an interesting one because they've never really acknowledged that Bray was Husky Harris, you know, not to my memory anyway. So, but I guess there's a different time where Bray, you know, Bray is straight up kind of mentioned, you know, his family since he's come back. It's a different kind of version of his character. But I do still worry, though, like I did on the last PLE, that this could potentially start to, you know, our patience wear thin with this, you know. So I was like, don't rush it at first. Don't put him in a match. Don't just throw him in a feud for the sake of it. Let it build ready and naturally and whatever. And it kind of is with the LA Knight thing. But at the same time, you come back at Extreme Rules. So that's, you know, 2 PLEs ago. Of course, with Crown Jewel as well. But yeah, so if anything, I don't know if he's going to come out to the ring, do a promo again. I think that was just because it was in, in Saudi Arabia and they wanted to do something with him. And he was kind of exciting and fresh. Everybody wanted to see something to do with him. You could argue that it's still the same thing now. So, and again, it's only 5 matches on the card. So that kind of makes sense as well. But, you know, to kind of bulk it up in other areas. But then again, as we mentioned, War Games is a bulky match anyway. It takes up a lot of time. Speaking of which, by the way, guys, it is 11:30 at night here in the UK. It'd be interesting to know where you are in the world watching it from, of course. But these PLEs start at 1 a.m. for us. My goodness, it's a struggle. And I'm not sure I'm going to make it tonight, guys. Well, I'm trying, but I'm looking forward to the show, like I said, and hopefully once it gets started, I'll be in the mood and stuff like that. Really interesting to see how they start it again. What are they going to do? Are they going to start with a War Games match? Are they going to start with maybe a Bray promo, as we kind of just touched on there as well? Another interesting match to talk about, though, as we kind of mentioned as we're going through the card earlier on, is, of course, AJ Styles versus his, I wouldn't say his former Bullet Club buddy because they weren't in it at the same time, but Finn Balor. And it kind of is the OC, as you can see in the background, versus the Judgment Day in some sense, but they're not actually going to be involved. But we'll get to that in just a moment. I'm going to go back to Josh here. He's got another comment. So true. Always thought we'd get a deep dive into the family aspect and potentially get Bo Dallas, but I still like the direction they're going with him. Watching in New Zealand, by the way. Oh, thank you, buddy. Thanks for joining us from New Zealand. What time is it in New Zealand at the moment? You're ahead, right? You're about 12 hours ahead, I think, if I got that right. Well, thanks for joining us, mate. Appreciate it. Must be strange watching PLEs at what? So, yeah, daytime for you, right? If I'm getting that wrong, forgive me. But, yeah, we moan over here because we watch them at 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2, 3 into the early hours. You know, the Americans, of course, get to start watching a show at like 7 or 8 o'clock, you know, so that's lovely. Like I can only imagine how that is to do it every month. But yeah, interesting. You know, there's fans all around the world watching at different times. It's always interesting to hear kind of people's rituals. You know, like I've mentioned on there before, I usually have a big old feast pre-show meal before after going live and getting onto the the main show and stuff like that, like a midnight snack sort of thing. Whereas there's other people in other parts of the world maybe having breakfast when they're watching a PLE as well. Sunday, Josh says Sunday for me, 12:30 in the afternoon. Usually get them on Monday. Oh, of course, yeah, because it's usually Sunday. So that's the thing. So I was pretty close there in my 12-hour guess. Nice, 13 hours, nice one ahead of us here in London. But yeah, that's a good point actually. That is something I've enjoyed. It being on a Saturday means that although these are kind of ridiculous times at night for us, at least it means for most people, I know of course depends on what kind of work you have and shift work and stuff like that. Most people that work a 9 to 5 at least will get the Sunday off and stuff like that, so it's not too bad for them. Whereas yeah, I can only imagine what it's like for Kiwi fans and having to take Monday off work to actually watch the show while trying to ignore spoilers and stuff like that. It reminds me of when I was in school and pay-per-view would be Sunday night and couldn't quite stay up late enough to watch it and then go to school, and there's always that one kid that woke up early to watch it or has read spoilers online, and you're trying to stay away from them all day because you're hearing rumors trickle through about what happened. That's how I found out about Stone Cold getting the Disturbed version of his theme song, by the way. I remember being on the bus on the way to school and someone was saying, oh, he's back, yeah, it was really good, but his song's different. Someone's singing on it. And I was like, singing? Why is someone singing on it? And yeah, I ended up being quite a fan of that version of Austin's theme. So yeah, quite a fun memory for me there. We'll go back to the match we were just going to talk about though. So we've got AJ, as I said, versus Finn Balor. Again, we've got the club versus the OC. Well, the club is the OC, sorry, versus the Judgment Day. How about that Thanksgiving thing, guys? Did you see it? Dominic Mysterio rocks up to the Mysterio family home and brings in the mammy of Rhea Ripley, and I just loved it. Like their lack of just how insincere they were, and like being so cocky. And I loved the fact that they kind of argued. Firstly, he argues with his mum. She's like, "What are you doing here?" She shuts the door a little bit, and then Ray. What I liked about it was Ray putting on his mask, because it's silly that he would be at home with his mask, but I like that he kind of was aware there's a camera, so I'm going to put my mask on. I like that. And then obviously they beat Ray up. What took me at the moment, though, I've got to say, is it must have been a picture of Ray and his wife in the background, which would have had Ray without his mask on, and it was blurred, and it was supposed to be not found footage, but like just someone on their phone and stuff like that, not a real production crew or anything like that. So for it to then be blurred seemed a bit silly. But yeah, other than that, I thought it was a great little segment there as well, and the fact that it just got released online and kind of I like when WWE do stuff like that. It kind of helps build kind of extra things for the storyline that you could be seeing on TV, but yeah, it kind of just adds to it really without kind of overdoing it. So that was quite cool to see. But yeah, the match itself, looking forward to seeing them again. This is kind of one of those matches where you could argue it's like I said earlier on in the stream, it's WrestleMania worthy. I mean, the only thing I say about that when I get a bit worried about saying WrestleMania worthy is when you see a dream match of AJ Styles going to WrestleMania and it ends up like the Nakamura one, which for anyone that watched the Wrestle Kingdom match from New Japan a few years earlier will know just how disappointing. I mean, that match was disappointing Mania anyway, and that weird feud that came out of it, kicking each other in the nuts. Weird enough, but if you'd seen their Wrestle Kingdom match, then my goodness, would felt like a real kind of letdown as well. Josh says AJ Styles' last singles win on a PLE was Crown Jewel 2019. He's got a win here. Flipping heck. I thought you were going to say Crown Jewel as in the one that's just gone. I was like, that's not that bad, mate. It's just one back. But flipping heck. Crown Jewel 2019, last singles win. I wonder what his other wins were apart from that then. I guess the ones with Omos and stuff like that. So yeah, real shocker there for AJ. But I guess he's kind of realistically winding down his career. I think he had said that his most recent contract he considered to be his last full-time contract. Of course, we don't know what happened after this, but he's had a great run in WWE. I do think the past few years have been a bit of a shame. Yeah, he's kind of getting older and his position will change in the company. He's like certain guys, don't need to be champion all the time, sort of thing. He did a lot for Omos. The Undertaker thing was great. But that weird limbo period where they dropped the OC, you know, and you know, they got let go, and he'd only just been put with them, and it was working really well. So it was very nice seeing back together as well, and seeing the OC back in the WWE. I do think they work well together, and of course they're playing on the whole Bullet Club thing, which is, you know, I'm a fan of the Bullet Club. Pretty much all the versions of it. I think I've always quite enjoyed it. Even up until today, what Jay White's doing with it. And I like the fact that Jay White's playing up to it, saying, no, we always said the Bullet Club was going to kind of run pro wrestling. And look, we're all, you know, representation in every big company. I like that they're using that. And the WWE, you know, I think even recently, I think Michael Cole even said the words Bullet Club, which is wild. Of course, that shows you, you know, the new era we're in, of course, with Triple H as well. But yeah, what are you guys thinking of this? You know, do you think it's going to kind of end here tonight? Is this going to be the end of the feud? Are we going to get new Judgment Day members? Are we going to get new OC members? Are we going to get switches and turns and things like that? Of course, what we are missing from this would be where the feud kind of started from, really, with the Judgment Day at least, because it's still kind of going on, because Rhea was kind of playing up to it on the last PLE. But of course, Beth Phoenix, you've got to think she's going to be coming back and actually facing Rhea at some point. You'd imagine Edge is going to get back involved in it, and then maybe, well, again, we mentioned the Dominic thing that's still going on, of course, with his dad as well. So I thought it was going to become a Legends team versus the Bloodline, and maybe we will get there. Maybe that's what, you know, we're going to lead towards at the Rumble, or maybe they could stretch it out even further to WrestleMania, which would be quite cool as well. But for now, of course, their position has been kind of taken up by the Osu. And again, it's good to see her back. And also Mia Yim, of course, she's got a new name now as well, but it's still kind of referred to as Mia Yim on a few things. So Mia Yim is joined the OC. I was actually shocked that they went for a new member, a brand new member, like, because, you know, within law, right, like within the realms of the Bullet Club, is she a Bullet Club member now? Or not, because she's not in the Bullet Club. Is the Elite still the Bullet Club? Is the Bullet Club, as in the one that's in New Japan, the only real Bullet Club? But if Jay White's saying we're everywhere, then surely, if you join the OC and you're referring to them as Bullet Club, outside of WWE at least, then is Mia Yim a full-fledged member of the Bullet Club now? Is that how it's going to work? So that's quite interesting to kind of go into and think about, because it'll be the first time that someone has joined the Bullet Club, I guess, from outside of the main version of it, you know, outside of what's going on in New Japan, Ring of Honor and stuff like that. Of course, the Elite, just known as the Elite now, and no one's joined that stable. You know, everyone that's been in and around it since AEW, we're talking Hangman Page was in the Bullet Club. We're talking Matt and Nick Jackson were in the Bullet Club. Even Cody was in the Bullet Club. Kenny Omega, of course, was in the Bullet Club. So it wasn't like they got any new members. So yeah, is Mia Yim a fledged Bullet Club member? It'd be interesting to know your thoughts on that one. What do we think about the main event, though, guys? Of course, we've been talking about the Bloodline a little bit there, the potential for Sami Zayn to kind of go off in a certain direction, hopefully soon at least, because as much as I'm loving this, I think the reason why we love it is because we know it's building towards something surely to happen with Sami. But I want to talk about the other side here as well, because what the Brawling Brutes have been doing has been absolutely amazing. I think it's kind of revitalized Sheamus in his career. It's done a lot for Butch, for Pete Dunne. And Rich Holland as well. I think it's given him a platform they didn't have before. I know it was easy to look at them at first and be like, oh, all right, just Sheamus's buddies, and we'll see how long this one lasts for. You know, especially with a name change for Pete Dunne. He was such a beloved character by a lot of wrestling fans. So, yeah, but it's worked. You know what I mean? And I think if you look at that team, it felt clear. You know, the next one to join, Drew, kind of fits in with their style. Of course, him and Sheamus go way back. Kevin Owens, different story, but again, that's where you get that kind of veteran of the War Games. You get the story where, you know, he's had a few run-ins with Roman, and of course, as we mentioned earlier on, Sami Zayn as well. So yeah, that's an interesting team there. When we look at the women's side, though, I don't feel the same way about that, because what we got, of course, is Damage Control plus Rhea and Nikki, who just seem to be hanging around. I don't know. Is Nikki in Damage Control? I was hoping she would be. But then they got Rhea there, and it's like, it doesn't really make sense for the feud. I'd rather maybe could have been a Bloodline match. Sorry, a Judgment Day match. And then on the opposite side, it's your typical thrown together babyface team, of course, with Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Mia Yim, Asuka, and of course the returning Becky Lynch. And again, great to see her back regardless as well. Comment here from Bobster Core. Hi, Rhea Ripley winning tonight. Yes, I don't know. What do you think, Bobster? Let's have a look at the teams again. Out of the two of them, because we didn't actually predict this one, so we didn't get time to do it in our preview that we did last week. Again, what we do on this channel is we do a predictions preview episode about a week before the PLE, and then the night of, we join us here for a build-up show, as I say. Get yourselves hyped up for the event, get ourselves hyped up for the event as well. But let's move back into talking about the match here and whether or not I do think Rhea's going to win. Let's have a look at the teams. I mean, I think that team should win. The Heels should win, because Damage Control, I've been saying it a few times, but damage limitation we need here for Damage Control, because they're not looking as good as they did. I thought they were all going to be reigning supreme with the titles. That hasn't quite happened. And a few times I felt like they were going to go full force on them, but it's really slowed down, and it's a real shame. So I hope tonight it's going to be a big kind of performance from them. I'm sure, they're capable of it, and I hope they get the opportunity to do so. Whether they win or not, I don't know. But yeah, I think a win is very good for her. So Bob says, I do reckon it's on. So you think Rhea Ripley's team's going to win, do you, Bobster? Nice. Thank you for dropping in your comment there. Again, anyone watching here, let us know what you think is going to happen here at Survivor Series. And what match are you most looking forward to? What do you think of the whole traditional 5-5, 4-4 matches being replaced by War Games? Is that a double negative for you? Does it annoy you because you've lost the traditional one, but you've got War Games, or are you a fan of both and you're kind of not sure about it? You'd like to see both. Are you a fan of only the traditional one? You're not a fan of War Games, so you're really annoyed? Or are you a fan of War Games but didn't quite like the traditional matches? How are you feeling with that? I know we talked a lot about on our preview, especially with Lucas, about being such a fan of that because of the early days of Survivor Series. That's what the Survivor Series was built on. And it's kind of had different variations. Again, we've had 5-5, they've had 4-4, they've done winner takes all with the Alliance, do you know what I mean? And against the WWF, we've had the Raw versus SmackDown rubbish that should have been really good, but never really was executed that well, other than a few years. And then we've had kind of like the future of the company, just like the winner takes all. We had a similar kind of situation, of course, with the Authority, where Sting, of course, debuts in WWE and helps Dolph Ziggler, who's the last, lone survivor. And what a great Survivor Series event that was. Once again, though, speaking of Survivor Series events, be wrong of me not to mention the watch-alongs that we've done on this channel. So if you feel like coming back here and watching a classic pay-per-view with us, then we did the 2002 Survivor Series a little while ago on this channel, kind of reviewing it as we go along, giving our thoughts as we go along. Nice little companion, hopefully, for you to rewatch a show like that. And that was quite interesting, of course, because it was the Elimination Chamber, the first ever chamber match. And then 10 years after that, of course, 2012, you can see in the main event there, John Cena versus Ryback versus the champion CM Punk. And if you remember, guys, something quite significant happens at the end of that match. Spoiler alert for something that happened 10 years ago. But of course, we saw the debut of possibly, and I say possibly here, guys, because I appreciate there's other big names out there as well, but possibly the best ever faction. We're talking about what they did together in a short period they were together, the reunions, but also, as you can see just from that thumbnail there, and promotional work for our video, just the work they did individually. I mean, look at the titles there. Of course, you think about Ambrose in the middle, that doesn't even include his AEW run, So, yeah, unbelievable faction. Great memories of the Shield. So it's still good to see Survivor Series kind of held in that high regard. We mentioned it again on that preview, how there was rumors years ago that they were canceling Survivor Series one year. And it was terrible. It was like, well, it's not doing well because you're not doing anything with it. Like it could be, it's not that it's not cool anymore. It's that you've let it get stale. So I'm glad they're actually shaking it up. I'm glad they're doing something with it. I always find the War Games match quite interesting. I know, again, a lot of people are kind of against the fact that it takes like, I don't know, half an hour before the match starts. It feels like sometimes officially, I guess, because pinfalls can't happen, but it's still entertaining. It's not like that we're waiting around twiddling our thumbs. So, but I understand that kind of gripe with the match as well. It's one that's a hard one to pull off, in my opinion. But looking forward to it. Just seeing it on the main roster, guys. Like not being an NXT product anymore is an interesting thing as well. Like I said, the last few I haven't even bothered to watch, but the first few in NXT, man, they were good. Just thinking the Undisputed Era, I think it works really well when there's a stable a faction going into it. That's why I think the Undisputed Era ones were really, really good. But it'd be interesting to see tonight, are we going to get war paint? They play up to the war theme quite a lot when they do this. And I think, a few of us have been talking about, I've seen a few kind of murmurs online, talking to friends offline, talking to the guys on this channel when we did our preview as well. Just the Usos, firstly, to imagine if they come out with their old paint on, the half and half for each twin, and then Roman having his own version, and I can see it actually because of Roman when he had the lay, of course, when he first started doing the whole tribal chief, head of the table, type stuff. So yeah, I'd love to see it. Now, talking about the bloodline, talking about Roman Reigns, talking about the Usos, there is only one man I can bring into the conversation at this point, of course, and that is Mr. Rob, our own luchador here as well. How you doing, Rob?
What's going on, man? I do want to apologize for a little bit to drink, but I'm good.
Oh my gosh, Rob!
But yeah, the bloodline, I love them.
Mate, you're God, I can tell already. The way you've started the stream, I go, bloodline, love them. And what have you had to drink? Come on, fill me in.
I couldn't tell you, bro. I'll be honest. I had some like Sambuca thing. It tasted like strawberry milkshake.
That's the danger, isn't it? When it tastes.
Oh man. Yeah. But yeah, I do apologize for being late. By the way, I did say I'll try and get on, but
it's because you were drunk, mate. You were
they
crawling
played Sweet
back.
Carolina, and I was absolutely gone.
All right. Well, first you mixed up two songs there. You said Sweet Carolina. Was it Oh Carolina or was it Sweet Caroline?
It was Sweet Caroline. That's what.
It wasn't the Shaggy song, no?
No, definitely not. So if the streets get a bit wild, I do apologize.
Oh my gosh! If you start busting out into Sweet Caroline or Oh Caroline, I think the Shaggy one was called Oh. He says Oh Carolina. Let's have a look.
Banging.
Yeah, Oh Carolina. Good. Yeah, it's a great song. 1993. Oh Carolina.
I do apologize for being late, everyone.
It's all right, mate. It's all right. So yeah, how you feeling about the show, mate? You excited?
Yeah, man. As long as I can see it in straight vision.
Oh my god.
Fine.
Let's make you big screen. Let's just see how you look into the camera, mate. Let me see your eyes.
I'm Gucci.
Yeah, all right.
I'm all right.
A little bit red.
It's all right. It's all right. Listen,
this is why we like the build-up show. It's exciting like this. Did you see it when you're on your way back? Did you see we had Michelle? Michelle joined us from a bar. You've come home late from a bar, and I'm sitting here with a little beer as well.
Well, that sums up Rebellious Noise, then, doesn't it?
Well, I guess. And the two guys that don't drink, they're not on the show tonight. No. So there we go. Quite
missing
ironic,
out. Missing out.
I guess
on the
it's
fun.
because they're being sensible, and we're the ones getting Larry with a few beers. But hey, yeah. Glad to hear you're looking forward to it, mate. Of course, the cards changed a little bit since we did our preview. I don't think we're going to do an official lock-in for the women's match because it's a bit late in the day now. We haven't got their kind of responses or anything like that. So their predictions as far as the other two guys there. But yeah, just general thoughts, mate, about Becky Lynch being announced as the final member and announced on SmackDown. I don't know if you heard me kind of mention earlier on. I was a bit about whether or not I thought that was the right thing to do. But what do you think about firstly Becky? What do you think about the announcement?
Yeah, do you know what? It was crazy the pop that she got for the minute she came out because it was so unexpected. Obviously, there was a lot of ahs of who could it be, who is this mystery person, and the way they designed the picture, it looked very Bray Wyatt-esque.
Oh yeah, with the hood.
It was crazy to think like who, exactly that. And I was thinking, who could that be? And I had obviously there's a lot of theories running around, and I was like, it could be this person, it could be this person. Obviously, we wanted to leave it to the build up, and then all of a sudden for it to be Becky, I just lost my mind. Like, I just did not expect her to come back. I don't want to say that quick, but obviously that soon, I guess.
Yeah, that's
it.
it.
That quick at the same time.
She's come back quite quick, hasn't she? You know, hopefully she is
Yeah.
fit and ready and raring to go. It's a tough match to be your first one back if you're not fully fit.
Exactly.
But yeah, I was glad to see her back. I had heard a few rumors in the days leading up to it that or a few kind of predictions, I guess, that it might be her. But the problem is you're always going to get that Sasha thing at the moment. It's not that, you know, I'd love to see Sasha come back as well. But that's exactly my point, is that if she's not, and if it was at the pay-per-view, it would have probably been a bit of a... We don't want a Rey Mysterio Royal Rumble situation, do we? Where everyone thinks it's Daniel Bryan, it's Rey Mysterio, and you have to boo a legend. And you're like booing Rey going, it's not you, it's the we didn't want to have that with, we don't want that with Becky. So do you think that's why they did it on SmackDown?
Yeah, because it's in Boston, isn't it? The show.
What Survivor Series?
Is it Boston? I swear I read that.
If it is, right, because of do you mean because of Becky? Because of Sasha then?
Yeah, obviously because of the link to Sasha. I think.
Oh, see, that's the thing. Now I'm gonna get myself hyped up. Because if it is, then imagine if this is all a ploy and it is Sasha is coming back. It's going to be an extra return. Oh, no.
I mean, I'm down for that. I don't mind. I mean, I absolutely love Sasha and Naomi. We spoke about this at length on many podcasts, that they're underutilized at times, and the things that they should be doing, that they don't use them enough and they don't use them in the right way.
But that's what I mean. I'm getting myself hyped up now. I'm thinking, she is coming back again. I've fallen for it.
I mean, if she comes back, then I mean, I'll lose my mind again. I mean, I lost my mind when Becky come out. I was literally sitting there, and you know when it feels like that moment. I mean, the UK listeners or viewers will understand it, but you know when England score and you think, "Whoa!" I literally felt like that when Becky reappeared. But the pop was huge.
Yeah, it was
absolutely huge.
It was really well done. Again, I think it was wise to do it on SmackDown. I think it takes away from
100%.
it being a PLE moment, but I think in the climate that they're in at the moment with Sasha, kind of put on my own Kiwi accent there. I thought
I was drinking.
Yeah, I think it's wise to do it now, like especially if she's not coming back, or even if she is, but I doubt it. But still, that's exciting either way. As you were coming on the stream, though, of course, we were talking about the Bloodline, and again, we touched on a bit on the preview. But do you think that we might get some more paint going on with the Bloodline?
I don't know, because we were talking on the idea of, did you say paint? Yeah, that like the Usos and coming out with the war paint, and Solo coming out maybe with full like kind of Umaga or something like that. Like it would look incredible because it will really throw back to that Samoan
Umaga as well. That's a good point. I didn't even think of that. Bro. That would be cool. That would be really cool.
Yeah. But I mean, I would love to see it, because I feel like if you're going into war games and the idea is obviously they're going to war, they're ready for battle and all that sort of stuff. If the Usos don't come out of it, I don't want to say this much, but I'd be quietly disappointed. Very disappointed, because this is the moment where you'd think this is the time to.
I would as well, but I think the argument is that they might think, no, we've got to keep it away from that old kind of version of the Usos, but they're very much, showing their heritage, talking about the family, so it would fit. I could see one case of being, that's the old gimmick, we can't do that. But then if there's any time to do it, even if it's not the same, you don't have to have all the colors and stuff like the way they did it, and the kind of gear they wore or anything like that, but just simply having the paint again, and especially like just a black version as well, like Umaga's one, of course. Solo getting in on that as well. We've got a comment here from Matthew. We should be ready to celebrate with the man. There we go. Of course, the man, Becky Lynch, is back here in WWE. Great to see the man back. Big time Bex as well. But yeah, it's we'll see. Will Becky Lynch's team be picking up the victory? We'll have to see. Real Pash says the Bloodline will smash all those pieces of. Whoop, there we go. Maybe I'll keep away from that last word there. But
I'll say it. I've been drinking.
hey, we want to kind of get
It's a
YouTube
family
to
show.
push this video, guys. But anyway, speaking of which, everyone that's joined us, we really do appreciate it. If you're brand new here, welcome. We are the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. I'm Scott. This guy over here, that side, is Rob. And there's usually a few more of us on this channel as well. And what we like to do is before an event, we do these build-up shows where we get ourselves and yourself hyped up for the show. As you can see there, these are relaxed, chilled out, fun, kind of thrown together streams. Sometimes we get breaking news during them, of injuries. There was that time where a storm happened at WrestleMania. We weren't sure what was going ahead. Doing a Saudi show is always exciting as well because you never know what's going to happen there. But they're always fun. So if anyone does hear any kind of cool, interesting rumors, you've seen anything online, of course, the pre-show is about to start as well. Let us know about that. And these are always good streams to come on. So if you're new here, thank you for joining us. We hope you subscribe. And if you've been here a few times and you haven't subscribed already, please do. Don't forget to press that ding-a-ling-a-ling on the bell to get notifications as well. And if you are subscribed and you've been here a few times, hey, thanks for coming back, buddy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, do you know what?
Go on.
I was just, are you excited for the, I guess, the Bloodline versus the Brawling Brutes? I mean, I don't think they've got an exclusive name as to who they are, but
unless they're honorary brutes. Honorary brute. Look at that.
There we go. You heard it here first. But are you looking forward to it? I think that could really be like the match of the night.
Just the way they work as well in that environment. I think the way Sheamus and the Brutes have been, Drew as well, I think will be kind of wanting to prove a point and be part of history. Kevin Owens always great. And then you got the Bloodline who've been just unbelievable. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a hard hitting match. It's gonna be, as I said, like just before you came on air, like seeing it on the main roster is exciting as well. Just seeing how they do that, it's going to be really good. We got to come here. What time is it going to be on? So it's going to be on in just over an hour. So it's 1 a.m. UK time, wherever you are in the world, an hour from now. An hour and 4 minutes. Jay says, hey, Sami and Costa. Oh, you think Sami's going to cost a Bloodline the match? I don't know if that's going to happen here because it's not
too early
for anything. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be. I guess I would be surprised, but if it's done well, I could go, okay, that makes sense because maybe you didn't want him to lose a title, but you still wanted the effect of the turn. So maybe the turn can happen without a title. So maybe this is a good time to do it. A comment here from Jay. Thank you, Jay's Midnight Wrestling. Much appreciated, Jay. Everybody that's come along here for the stream again. Let us know what you think is going to happen tonight, guys. What are you excited about? What do you think about the card that we've got? What do you think about, again, as I mentioned, the change of tradition, moving away from the 5-on-5, 4-on-4 matches and having the War Games? Are you a fan of the War Games? Are you a fan of traditional matches? Do you hate them both? Do you like them both? Do you like one more than the other? Do you want to see them both? I think our general consensus on a Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel was that, well, half of the guys that aren't really fans of the War Games. Me and Rob, we seem to be, fans of it if it's done well. But we all like the traditional 5-on-5 and 4-on-4s when they're done well. And the thing is that they should have at least done one of them, even if it's on the pre-show or one of these War Games matches just not been a War Games match, basically, And I think if anyone shouldn't have been a War Games match, it should probably be the women's one. There we go, updated version of it there. Just because it's not got that kind of same blood feud behind it because of the Bloodline. Like this is a big moment. We've been wanting to see the Bloodline in a match together for ages. So Real Patches, please no one lay that they can smash my Bloodline. It's not going to happen. No. Okay, from what I get from that, you don't think the Bloodline are going to get beat. Loving the West Ham jacket. Too bad it's not Chelsea, says Josh. Hey, come on. Can we at least be kind of like in the middle here and all root for England at least?
Can I just say, if you notice for the regular viewers, my background's changed because I finally moved. We were talking about this on the last stream.
Yeah.
I'm now in a different. So this is going to be the background. Obviously, I need to add some shizzle to the back here.
Yeah, some props. This isn't my usual background either, guys. I'm away from.
You're more casual.
Moment, so
you look more.
I am casual. Yeah.
As always, I mean, if anyone could look as sly as you, then you know.
Thank you.
What
mate.
we say,
Thank you.
but
I think that was a compliment. But yeah, go on.
100%, that was a full compliment. I mean,
New background. Go on.
yeah, but the new background. I was looking for my Brock Lesnar shirt because it was the Eat Sleep Suplex Repeat one.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find it. I was like, I need a top because otherwise I'm going to be doing this topless. And we don't need that on a Rebellious Noise show. So
that's for a different channel, mate. We ain't started that yet.
That's
the Rebellious Noise OnlyFans.
That's just feet pics. But yeah, I mean, it's been fun, especially doing that. Obviously, this sort of stuff that we're doing. But yeah, it's nice to know someone's noticed the West Ham shirt. Normally, no one ever picks up on anything that we're wearing. They just comment on the mask. It's really weird.
Sometimes we dress real nice for you guys as well.
Yeah. I mean,
it'd be
if
nice
you want to go back.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get a compliment every now and then.
Look at Scott when he dressed up as Seth Rollins and
I did dress up as Seth Rollins once, guys. Yeah, check that out. We do have. Well, I have a full. I did it on the stream, but we also had a full video where I tried on Seth suits as well. So if you want to give that a go, definitely do so. Going to get to a few more of these comments as well, Rob. So we got Jay again says, "What if Jay costs them the match and makes it seem like it's Sami's fault?" Oh, I like that. Because that prolongs it a bit more, continues the tension when Roman watches it back on SmackDown and realizes, do you know what I mean, the ring in front of everyone, you know, looks round, or I don't know. You could kind of play it out to that as well. But yeah, no, I like that idea, Jay. Thanks for the comment. Another Jay here, 2 J's. How about that? We're spoiled for choice here, mate. Jay Midnight Wrestling again says, I went to Extreme Rules and we saw something about Survivor Series and it said I'll be there. Oh, so it said I'll be there when Boston is near or whatever. It said it had a scary type of writing. Might see Uncle Howdy reveal. Yeah, let's get onto some of that as well. I kind of talked about it a little bit earlier before you came on, Rob. But what do you think we're going to get with Bray Wyatt tonight? I've kind of spoke quite a bit on this, so I'll let you go ahead with that one.
It's weird, you know, because we were talking at a great length when the Bray Wyatt reveal appeared and the Follow the White Rabbit and all this sort of stuff. That was the time when you messaged me. It was like, "Hey, I'm going live in 5 minutes. Do you want to jump on the stream?"
Oh, after the show, yeah.
Fun times, eh? But yeah, since then, the Bray Wyatt stuff. Some people haven't enjoyed it because it's been very slow. Other people have absolutely loved it because it's a really slow build. And to me, I've really enjoyed it. But this stuff, if you see the last promo and it showed Bray as Husky Harris.
I was mentioning that. Yeah, I didn't see it, but I saw the screenshot of that. Yeah, so that was quite weird.
But I'm unsure what's going on. But I think obviously there's 100% there's a connection. So whoever the genius is out there that's able to figure out the connection, drop it in the comments because the stuff that they do blows my mind. I mean, we talked about how they reference certain people on the Bump, the WWE show that they do, and another channel that we've spoke closely about, which is See Wrestling, talking about Bray Wyatt. He's a huge fan.
Big for Bray content, that channel.
Yeah, big Bray fan. So if you want your up-to-date stuff like that, then obviously go and check him out. But they mentioned him on a Bump, and it was one of the codes that you could source code that on for the internet and stuff. So 100%, there's something to do with the numbers that they've showed. But yeah, like I've been so busy today that I caught the tail end of SmackDown, but I've not really been able to see it. But I'm so enjoying it. But what's weird is when you get a SmackDown on a Friday and then a PLE on a Saturday. Because
straight after, yeah. No time for it to breathe.
No, exactly. And when we talk about it, we spoke about it again at length on this podcast. Normally we're used to a Sunday PLE to into the Monday. So the one time I don't catch up, and then we've got the PLE, and I'm like, right, I need to catch up. I've got to do this stream. I've got to do this. I've got to have a couple of desperados and so on and so on. But yeah, but the Bray stuff is so good. But I'm confused of where it turns into the Bray into LA Knight and where it turns into Bray into Uncle Howdy. There's definitely a connection there at least.
Yeah. Do you think something? Yeah. Do you think the Uncle Howdy thing is like going to be something that like costs Bray a match against LA Knight or something, or is the LA Knight thing just a temporary thing to get us to the next bit, which would be Uncle Howdy, or is that going to be all part of it as well? Like, I mean, there's mention there in the comments of Bo Dallas. Like, I really hope it's Bo Dallas. I really do hope Bo Dallas is coming back. I've always wanted them to kind of acknowledge their brotherhood, but it's a shame they haven't. There was that one time I think we mentioned on the stream a little while ago where he dressed up as Bray, which was ironic. But yeah, other than that, no real connection between the two. It would be great to see it. Just quickly, we've got the War Games Survivor Series pre-show on here at the background as well. No extra matches added to it other than the ones we've already mentioned so far from what I can see. Different graphics though. They've updated the graphics. They've gone for more of an army kind of camo thing behind the characters, wrestlers. And they've made the title that they're talking about spin. By the way, they're also playing War Pigs. Was it Black Sabbath?
Yeah.
They've got the title spinning. I don't know if you're watching it, Rob. And also the cage spinning. And it looks like a hologram. It looks like Star Wars. Right. Like they've just R2D2 like opened his mouth and you know.
It's great dancing.
Oh, wait, I don't think it is his mouth, R2D2, that sends the message, but you know.
I don't. As R2D2, I don't think he's got a mouth, has he?
I don't know, but it's coming from somewhere at R2D2.
Check out Scott Wars if you want more detail.
There you go. The first time I ever watched Star Wars, we did podcast for it on the Rebellious Noise.
You did
this show, Talk of Beans on wherever you get your podcasts. Check that out. But yeah, we're looking at all these clips now of War Games matches, and a big part of what people were talking about, why we're getting two and getting certain guys in it, is because they want to get this footage to kind of be able to use in promotion. Because most, as we mentioned, most of the people that have been in War Games matches in the WWE, in NXT, aren't in the company anymore. So they kind of need to do that. With this, the footage they've shown there, they have shown guys that aren't in the company, but like at a distance, a lot of the clips that we just saw there. Some great spots. Thankfully, a lot of them were big spots that you could use the far camera on. But I think they will want to get the close-ups of people's face and the mesh of the cage and stuff like that. So, yeah. Still not sure if the women's one should have been a War Games, but there it is. Go on.
Well, this is why we were talking about, when we were talking about the War Game stuff, the visual of Roman and the rest of the bloodline reigning supreme. Obviously, 3 out of the 4 guys, I guess 5 guys, including Sami, are dual champions. So the fact that we would have 3 out of the 5 guys holding like both titles in the air is a better visual to the Brawling Brutes holding no titles.
Yeah.
Which is why we were saying that that's the one thing that's really swaying us, because that's the thing that they want as a visual, because they've got no other like footage. Which is why we all really said like this is the reason why we think the Bloodline will win. I mean, if Roman was to lose in this match, but as long as he didn't get pinned, I'm fine with that. If it was Solo or Jimmy or Jay, even Sami, I'd be like, well, it's a pinfall. It's not the big deal. But as long as it's not Roman, if the Bloodline lose, as long as it's not Roman that takes the pins, I don't mind. Because I think that's a bad booking on their part. But because of the visual that you would see of the Bloodline holding up all the titles, which is why we said they should win. I think that's a better visual than the.
And it's probably the safer bet as well. In the family, because if you have the other 5, one of those guys could leave WWE within a year, for example. And then all of a sudden you can't use that footage. It's less likely to happen in
the Bloodline,
in the other side with the Bloodline as well. Just to get to a few more comments here from Real Pash. We got Bloodline, big Bloodline fan, as you can tell from this comment row. The Bloodline, the head of the Bloodline, will not let his family down. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to understand that Big Tribal Chief is the greatest of all times. There we go. Also, Real Pash says, hey guys, from Uganda. Oh, thank you for joining us, mate, from Uganda. Much appreciated. How you doing over there in Uganda? Let us know. But is there a way I can join wrestling? Because I truly want to smash them all. Whoa, you sound aggressive there at the end, Pash. But what I will say, if you're going to try to get into wrestling, buddy, you want to look for a real school. I'm sure there are wrestling schools, hopefully, where you are in Uganda as well. What I would suggest is look up online, try and find a reputable trainer and a gym to go to. It's a very risky industry to try and get into. I'm not sure your age, of course, but you want to be looked after. There's a lot of kind of shady characters in the wrestling industry who will, it's a risky business, so you got to be safe. So make sure wherever you go, Real Passion, if you're going to get into wrestling, that you do your research properly there before you join a school, and that's what you need to join, an actual wrestling school. Comment here from is it Clinner? How much time match? Are you saying how long's until the match? Well, if The pre-show is telling me it's 51 minutes away. We're doing this as a watch-along experience for the pre-show as well, the kickoff show, as the WWE call it. But not much goes on that anymore, does it, Rob? There's no matches, unfortunately, on the kickoff. It's a real shame because I like the kickoffs, but they kind of give me less and less reason to watch them as time goes on, you know? So
yeah, it feels like it's just a way to. Do you know what? The best thing to do is check out the Rebellious Noise Pros Wrestling, which is what you're doing now.
The build-up show, yeah.
Like,
it's just
I feel like we're a bit of kickoff than they are.
Yeah, because they got to be in character, and we don't.
Some of us drink Desperado.
Rob's slightly in character with his mask. Yeah, good point, actually, yeah. Maybe we're not as professional after all, but...
I'm a professional, we're good. No one's noticed that I've drunken anything.
Not at all, mate. I'm sure everybody's... no one's giggling to themselves at all. Let's touch on some more of these matches, Rob. Okay. I mentioned a little bit earlier on while you were gone, but the AJ versus Finn Balor, potential to be match of the night, potential to be match of the year when you get these guys together. What do you think of the match first of all?
I'm really excited for it. We spoke about this at length, I believe, on the build-up. Sorry, on the prediction show. And I just feel like, as much as I love AJ Styles, I feel like Dominic has to be the one to get the pinfall in this because we need.
Oh no, it's 1-on-1. It's 1-on-1.
Sorry, it's 1-on-1. It's AJ versus Finn, isn't it?
Yeah. But we still need. I think you still need Judgment Day looking strong. Really.
Judgment Day still need to win. Yeah. For some reason, I was thinking that was the elimination because we're
they're still not doing it. Even though they got the guys in the back, we were saying on the preview that there was a chance that we thought they could turn it into that, which I still don't understand why they haven't. But I guess Rhea's in another match. But
yeah, it's strange, isn't it? Joe, I really thought it was the elimination because, as you were saying, there needs to be an elimination match on the Survivor Series because it just feels like that's the thing that we need. Like that's a part of it. It's like having a Royal Rumble without the Royal Rumble. Like it wouldn't make sense. Obviously, we've now got the War Game stuff taking over the Survivor Series spot, which is the Survivor Series elimination match.
Yeah, and it is just a similar theme, like when we covered the 2002 one, of course. Elimination Chamber. It's a similar theme.
Yeah. That one. If you want to go back and watch that, by the way, that was a fun watch along.
It was,
yeah. Lots of tangents, but Rebellious Noise. That's what we do.
Exactly, yeah.
But regardless, Judgment Day still need to win. I think because the minute they take a loss, that really affects them in a big way. Whereas AJ could take a loss and bounce back. Judgment Day I don't think it's as
risky as it was a few months ago, but I still am feeling like they need to. I just wanted to win it every time.
Yeah.
So
I love Judgment Day. Did you see the? I see you put on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling Twitter, by the way. The Dominic joining.
Oh yeah, I was talking about that earlier, mate. What did you think about that? I thought it was hilarious.
It was so good.
Yeah, really well put together. The only thing that got me, I liked the way they worked with Ray, being like, "Oh, because you've got a camera, I'm putting my mask on." You saw him rushing to put it on. I like that.
Yeah.
But what I didn't like was that they had to blur a picture of Ray in the background, his wedding photo. I think it was. It was like, oh, come on, like that takes away from it being a handheld kind of on the phone in the moment thing. But hey, there it is. Quick comment here from Josh. Think we might get surprised with Demon Finn. I don't think so, but you never know. Come on. I think you're right, Josh. Come on. It's not likely to happen, but I appreciate you throwing it out there because, hey, you never know in the world of wrestling, and it would be cool to see Demon Finn again, to be fair. And, hey, Josh, I thank you even more, mate, because you've given me a nice little segue here to tell you about the time that I recently interviewed Finn Balor. And guess what we spoke about, mate? The Demon character and the future of it. So if you want to hear what Finn thinks about using the Demon character again, being a heel, and his original plans for the NXT return. If you remember, it happened just before the world kind of locked down as well. So things kind of had to change quite quickly. Then check that out as well. If you want to go deeper on interviews with Finn Balor, I also spoke to him a few years ago on the main Rebellious Noise channel. So if you're new to Rebellious Noise, what this basically is we have the Rebellious Noise channel. And then a little while ago, we split it off into the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel, the Rebellious Noise Football channel, and so on. We have all these kind of different channels for Rebellious Noise. So if you fancy other kind of things, check out the other Rebellious Noise channels. But on the main Rebellious Noise channel, there's also a clip there of myself interviewing Finn from a few years ago when he was using the Demon character more, and he did the Jack the Ripper entrance, if you remember that. So yeah, definitely check those out. A lot more on this channel. We spoke to Drew McIntyre recently. We spoke to Damian Priest, of course, the Judgment Day member there as well. Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, Butch, we mentioned him earlier on, of course, with the change in his character. We spoke to members of Imperium, more Judgment Day members with Rhea Ripley, and we spoke to the Street Profits as well. Not just that, we've got plenty more on this channel where we've spoken to Dewdrop. We've got interviews with Riddle. We've got interviews with Bobby Lashley. We got interviews with Kevin Owens. Guess what? We spoke to Damian Priest twice, and a great interview with Ciampa and Big E. And although Big E isn't the champion, as you can see some of these thumbnails here, they are quite old. Of course, people haven't got the titles that they're holding in the thumbnails, but I've got to say, you got to go back and watch the Big E one because it was hilarious. He was so nice to us when he was champ, and we hope to see him back very soon. Earlier on, Rob alluded to myself dressing up as Seth Rollins. There you go, a little preview of it there. I did dress up as Seth Rollins, so if you want to see that, I appreciate we're shoving a lot of content your way here, guys. We want you to stick with us at the moment, but what we're saying is we have a lot of stuff going on here at the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel, and really would appreciate if you subscribe, because you get stuff like this tonight. You get podcasts, reviewing shows, predicting shows. You have interviews with WWE superstars. We have kind of fun features and silly little things like that as well. We have great watch-alongs, as we mentioned earlier on. So there's a lot going on here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. So again, thank you everyone that's joined us again, and you're already subscribed, but our brand new visitors here to the channel as well. We really do appreciate it. I'll take my commission for the segue, Josh. Hey, yeah, we'll see about that. We'll see about that, buddy. But I appreciate it either way. Real Pash says, okay, thank you. I'm 24, will be 25 a month from now. Okay, Real Pash. So yeah, you're of an age where you can go out and do it, of course. Although saying that, William Regal started when he was about 15, didn't he? So to be fair, but yeah, Pash, I would say, look for schools online. You want to look for wrestling schools, real reputable people that are going to look after you, because it is a risky business to get involved in. So you want to do it safely. You want to learn the right way. I had a little bit of experience when I was younger doing it, and then what I did was the same thing. I went online, I looked for schools and stuff like that in my area, and yeah, I would recommend it if you're looking, into getting into it. Then go about it the right way, buddy. Anyway, on the screen now, on the pre-match, pre-show kickoff. We've got a little promo here of Seth Rollins. What do you think of blonde Seth again, by the way, Rob?
It's great, man. I would have preferred just the one streak in his hair like we used to have when
old school.
Yeah, old school Rollins, 2012. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about,
hey.
We've done a watch along where we talk about the Shield's debut, which is one of my favorite things. But yeah, like I would have loved that kind of that style, but the hair that he's got now, man, he's rocking it. It pops with the suits, and I almost think he looks almost as dazzling as you do in them suits. Obviously, you look a lot better, but
that's kind of you, mate. That's kind of you. Yeah. Let's move on as well. Well, sorry, before we do this, let's go back to the kind of Bullet Club members that we were talking earlier on. I don't know if you heard my kind of theorizing really about whether or not Mia Yim, what's her name now? Michin? Is it Michin?
Yeah, but that's Japanese for something else, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't paid attention. But anyway, she's got a new name. But whether or not she's officially a Bullet Club member, because again, the Bullet Club members themselves, Jay White, the leader of the Bullet Club, so to speak, says that they've taken over wrestling, and these are representations of the Bullet Club throughout the wrestling world. So if that's the case, if Mia Yim has joined the OC, WWE Creative decided on that. Does that mean that Mia Yim is a fully fledged Bullet Club member, would you say?
Maybe. It's a possibility. But I will say so her name is now Michin or Michin. I may have butchered that. I do apologize. But it's
Mate,
Korean
fair,
for the word crazy.
If it was a word you were familiar with in this state, I wouldn't put it past you to butcher it. But Korean for crazy, did you say?
Apparently so, yeah.
What's Korean for drunk?
I'll have a look if you want. Because full on, that's great footage for the Rebellious Noise. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't mind it. I like the idea of Mia Yim. It was weird though, because they kind of brought her back. I just felt like there was no ties to her and Rhea kind of thing. Because I think if they were going to bring any female back, it needed to be someone that had at least a feud previous. So I thought personally Charlotte, because she had tagged with AJ in a mixed match challenge.
Yeah, but Charlotte
she would
being
have
in a
had to
Bullet
come
Club,
on.
I don't know about that.
But I just felt like it would have made sense because obviously we would have had Charlotte in a Bullet, I guess the Bullet Club, the club.
Yeah.
We had the match with Charlotte versus Rhea NXT when we had that really weird pinfall. That we spoke about at great length again when we keep saying, was there a verdict for it? Because there was never an unsolved answer. So I thought maybe that's the thing that we could go down that route of she was never pinned or she was pinned, and it could build a rivalry there. Bringing Mia back, look, I appreciate Mia Yim and her wrestling experience and what she's done, but I just felt when we first see it, I don't understand the
Don't get
connection.
it, yeah.
It just felt like it was really lackluster.
I mean, they can make it work though. You know, it's happened before where people joined
100%.
groups that didn't seem to make sense, but then hopefully it does. You know, because they brought her back for a reason. At least they put her in a significant role early on as well. Speaking of bringing people back, Real Pash asks, will Big E come back? So the latest news from what we've heard is that things have been going quite well for Big E, and he's on a road to recovery. So who knows when it is? I can't even remember what the original time frame was, but of course we're getting to the Rumble. Maybe he's nowhere near ready for that, but of course the rumors always start around there for returns as well. So hopefully we see him back soon. As I mentioned earlier on, when we interviewed the guy, he was so nice to us. Gave us a great shout out. Really fun to chat to, and really great with his time. As with most of the WWE guys we spoke to over the years, but Big E was a real pleasure to chat to, and such a genuine guy. And again, it was in his title run, which I know pretty much every single fan was happy to see as well.
It was fun.
We've just been seeing on the kickoff, Rob, about the US title match. How would you feel if Theory was to win the title after failing to cash in the Money in the Bank? Because I was saying that maybe it's a waste in some ways. I can see that. But you could argue, well, no, that got him to this point because he's changed character. So what would you say about it?
See, I'm kind of torn because a part of me feels like, well, Theory needed to change character. Like something needed to happen for him to switch up who he is and all that sort of stuff. Kind of like what Vince wanted. Another part of me thinks it was a failed cash-in. But some of the people that have had a failed cash-in have kind of gone on to do better things. Baron Corbin is an example. John Cena. I'm trying to think, who was the other one?
Damien Sandow.
Damien Sandow, yeah. And
great times, but
even his run as Damien Mizdow.
That was great. But for me, it's not so much the failed cash-in. It's more that if he failed and then 2 weeks later... No. If he fails, but then 2 weeks later wins the title anyway, should he not have just won it 2 weeks ago? But I think they would argue that if that is the case, no, because the failed cash-in is the character change we needed in order to get him to win the title.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely, because he stopped taking the selfies. Obviously, all that sort of stuff that was gone.
Yeah.
I always felt like when I look at Theory, and obviously I know it's a WWE podcast that we're talking about, but him and Sammy Guevara, who we've talked about at great length on this podcast and off in our group chat, it just feels like they're a kind of like a carbon copy of each other. The certain things that they do, and you just think, well, he done this last week. Well, he done this the week before.
Right. Yeah.
And it really does feel like that. So now we're getting this different side of Theory. I'm enjoying it because wasn't Theory a part of Seth's group? The when Seth was doing the greater good and all this sort of stuff. We had, do you know what I mean? So for a while we had that, and then he kind of disappeared and stuff. When Seth had the kind of like his apostles, I guess.
Was he part of that? Him and Buddy Murphy and all that.
Yeah. It was Seth. It was Seth, Buddy Murphy, Theory, and then Akim, and was it Razor?
And Razor, yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, I needed to Tucker and Razor, but that's Ninja Turtles. But yeah, Akim and Razor.
I enjoyed them as well. But also
mate, they were great. AOP were fantastic.
They were great. Speaking of fantastic, we've got Daniel Wiley joining us again. Says, hey guys, Daniel, thank you so much for coming back, buddy. Real pleasure to have you on the stream once again. Again, everyone that returns, we really do appreciate it. But if it's your first time, we appreciate you just as much, and hope you would subscribe to stick around here on the channel as well. But AOP reminds me again those early kind of War Games matches. They were in them as well, weren't they? So it was real fun when War Games first came into it. I hope this breathes kind of new life into the War Games match, because again, the last few I just can't even bother to watch. so which is crazy for such a like high stakes match type. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, I think because they've done the Survivor Series War Games, obviously the main focus is both War Games matches, and as we said before, the idea is that the War Games are the focal points purely because they need footage, because the guys that were a part of the War Games matches from NXT have gone. Either they're now like no longer wrestling, they're no longer a part of the company, they've moved on to another show. Obviously, they can't use that as a brand promo, because the brand promo would then be talking about, for example, Adam Cole, he's AEW. So it just wouldn't look right. So obviously they need to do that. So everyone that's watching tonight, I think we all expect there's going to be huge moments, big spots. There's going to be things that really make you lose your mind, purely because that's what they need for this footage. So if it's way over the top and very cartoon-like, I think that's the reason why, because they need this footage to promote the next one.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, definitely. Daniel also says, I miss you guys. Sorry, I haven't been in the live. Says I was boxing. Oh, cool, Daniel. That's cool. Well, thanks for joining us now. Anyway, as always, you can go back and watch the kind of parts you've missed on demand. You know what it's like here for the build-up shows. Of course, this is mainly about previewing the night, but as you know, we do get kind of onto some random topics and tangents that are kind of still interesting to see and relevant after the event as well. But thanks for joining us either way, buddy. Doesn't matter when you get here, you're here now, so we appreciate you joining us. Hope the boxing was fun. Hope you're keeping fit and getting nice and strong. I feel like oh man, I want to go do some boxing training. Rob, should we go do some boxing? If we do some boxing, are you going to wear your mask?
I mean, when do I not wear the mask?
Oh yeah, true.
That's the bigger question.
Good point. Good point. So was you in the bar slamming your tequilas with your mask on?
Are you sure you haven't had anything to drink? Tequilas is the incorrect word. Hello, I had strawberry sambucas.
What's the wrong word? Wait, what?
You said tequilas instead of tequilas.
No, I said tequilas. I said tequilas.
It must have been my internet, Poundland connection and all that. But I had strawberry sambucas, and it just tasted like McDonald's milkshake. But I had so many. Oh my!
Be careful with that, man. Wait, how many did you have? How many?
I couldn't tell you. I'll be honest. I can't remember.
Right, we'll leave it there before you get yourself in more trouble, mate.
That and Desperado. I mean, the wife has seen me, and she was like, "You can't go on the stream. Like, you're not professional enough." I was like, "I'm okay."
I'm glad she's trying to look out for the channel. You know, someone bloody is. Appreciate it. Daniel wants to know, Rob, what are your thoughts on the Becky Lynch return? So we've touched on it already a bit, Daniel. But again, feel free to head on back and check out that. But we'll kind of touch on it again for those that have just jumped in again. But yeah, I'm happy she's back. Really pleased to see it. I'm not too sure that this match itself needed to be a War Games match. I think it'd be better as a traditional 5-on-5. But still, happy she's back. SmackDown was a great moment. Rob was really a big fan of that as well. We weren't quite sure if it took away from it being a special moment at PLE. You're a day away from it because you're not held on. But again, I think the risk factor at the moment is that it's going to kind of make fans go, oh, I thought it was going to be Sasha. And that's a risky thing to do. Yeah. On a PLE. So excuse me, started choking there. got emotional about Sasha not being in the company anymore. But yeah, anything else you want to add to that, Rob?
No, I just think it was the safer option purely because, as we established, it's in Boston. Like the PLE's in Boston, so in order for them to kind of, no matter where you are, if like wherever your area is or the city you're in, you're going to root for your hometown, like basically your hometown wrestler. So knowing that it would have been Sasha, if Becky returned, she would have felt like, as we said, she would have got like the Rey Mysterio treatment when it should have been Daniel Bryan at the Royal Rumble. So pulling the trigger a day earlier means that we already know what's happening next. So we then can't boo Becky when she comes out for, or at least the Boston, what are they called? Is there a name for Boston people fans? Like
Bostonians.
Boston,
what do you call them? Bostonites, did you call them?
Bostonites. Hey, look, listen.
Like the Canaanites.
Canaanites. I love the Canaanites. But yeah, the Bostonites. I mean, I think they may have booed Becky a little bit purely because it wasn't, and it wasn't because anything to do with Becky, but because it wasn't anything to do with Sasha.
He thought it was going to be Sasha or Naomi, and that's the risk, you know. It's exactly like you said, Rob. You know, we always mention it, that moment that we all expected Daniel Bryan, which wasn't a return, it was just a Rumble thing. Yeah, everyone wanted him to be in, and then it was Ray, and it kind of turned people against Ray, and
it was weird, wasn't it?
You don't want that. You don't want that. So yeah, I think they're keeping away from it. You could argue that could have happened on SmackDown, but if it is in Boston, so did you find out? It definitely is in Boston, yeah.
It is in Boston, yeah.
Right, so full of Bostonites or whatever it was that Rob called them. So
Bostonites.
Yeah, Bostonites. That was it.
That's the one. It works.
The Bostonites. I like it. If we've got anyone watching from Boston, let us know. Do you like Rob's nickname for you? The Bostonites. But that sounds like an American sports team, doesn't it? The Bostonites. You know.
I'd follow them, 100%.
Yeah,
you know, I don't mind that. New England
Let's
Patriots, you know.
Let's do it. Let's try and follow the Bostonites. Let's get a team out. If anyone from Boston wants to set up a sports team, and the Rebellious Noise be your kind of sponsor or something like that, let us know. How are we doing with the pre-show? I think no surprise, no matches. I'm guessing let's turn it. They're just showing clips. Of the Ronda Rousey feud now. Of course, Ronda versus Shotzi. You know, the big thing here is whether or not it's to position Shotzi to be a main eventer, which I don't think it is. I think she is a kind of temporary kind of get you to the next stage. But to add to the feud, of course, they've brought in their friends as well. But yeah, do you think this is a one and done, Rob?
Look, I don't mind them having a bit of a feud. And I'll go out on a limb, and say, look, I am not the biggest Ronda fan because of the way that she's been portrayed in wrestling. I've said that on numerous podcasts.
Yeah, quite a few of our streams now. Yeah.
Only one or two.
Yeah.
But do you know what? And it's not even on Ronda, but did you see the promo yesterday? My goodness, did it feel so bad? Like, it felt like the air was sucked out of the room, and
really,
you know, when you watch a promo and you think, well, the crowd didn't enjoy that one. It really did feel bad. Like the air was.
So what kind of promo was it then? Is it just them two in the ring? Was it contract signing? What was it?
It was Ronda and Shayna Baszler, and they were kind of trying to take the mick out of Shotzi and I guess send shots at Shotzi. I really struggled with that. I'll be honest.
I like it.
Yeah. I couldn't get that sentence out. But yeah, it did feel really, really bad. And you know, when you just watch it and you think, yeah, that wasn't it. That wasn't what you were going for. Yeah, and obviously that. And then, what is with this makeup? What is with this eye makeup? It looks like, you know, when Batman takes off his cowl. And they've just got the idea here. Dude, we don't need that. Like, we don't need it at all. Just stop that. Ronda, please just stop that. Because
they're both kind of got it. I'm looking at the clip here, but Shayna's got quite similar makeup as well.
It just doesn't look intimidating. So. It looks stupid. It literally looks like they got panda eyes.
And watching them be like, I've seen this backstage interview now, them being all kind of like catty. It's not who they are, like, you know, not who their characters are. It doesn't make sense. So, especially
with their, I think the thing is, with their background of being badass UFC fighters.
Yeah.
Can we say that? Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was just checking. Yeah, being UFC fighters and whatnot, like being the baddest woman on the planet, and all of a sudden you got panda eyes and you're being really petty. It kind of defeats the object of who you are. You know, just go in, rip an arm off, whack you with a soggy end, and just leave. Like, that's what I want to see. Ronda just destroy people, and that's it. And we're not getting that. We're getting.
But in the ring, she acts a bit like that. But yeah, it doesn't. I don't know. I guess when you play the heel, it's easy to fall into the cheesy heel stuff. Let's get to a few more comments here from Daniel as well. It says, firstly, who will be running Brawling Brutes or Bloodline? We've both gone for the Bloodline with that one. Yeah. It seems to make the most sense, really. Again, I feel like we said it on our preview show that this is the time if you wanted to have Roman lose and it not mean anything, but at the same time, the temptation to have the five of them standing tall, I think, is going to be quite strong for them. Yeah. And also says, who does Becky beat for a title? Bianca or Ronda. Who? Yeah, I mean
Neither.
that's a pretty. Yeah, so I was gonna say that's pretty much like guaranteed in Daniel's eyes that someone's losing their title to Becky, but it does kind of feel like that with people like Becky, like Charlotte and Becky, like they're back. So within the next 3 months, they'll be champ. Like, so you don't think that's?
I don't want to see it.
You don't think it's going to be? So you don't? All right, you don't want to see it, but do you think we will see it?
I think we'll see it because that's at the level that Becky's at. But then that's not a moan at Becky or creative. It's just the fact that she's over now. The fact that she could win the title and people go, "Oh, well, Becky's the champion." Great, fantastic. I'm a huge fan of Becky Lynch, but she doesn't need the title to be relevant. The same as Ronda Rousey. Ronda doesn't need the title to be relevant, and Becky's in that same position. And Becky got it by really working herself to the core and who she was, and Becky 2 belts and the build up before that, Money in the Bank and all this. Like the crowd were behind her. Way before this WrestleMania main event match that she had with Ronda and Charlotte.
Yeah.
So Becky being able to do it now is a huge, huge feat. But yeah, I just think her not winning a championship would be much more. I think if she was going to go to, she would be the person to bring in the mid-card championship.
Yeah, I mean, it is a stacked roster, of course. If we look at what we got here, we've got 10 women in a match. And there's still plenty, we've got 2 over here in a women's title match. We've got the ones that potentially, if we do get a Sasha and Naomi return at some point, one or the other or both. And then on top of that, we've got Charlotte coming back. Who else have you got that could, and then it's quite easily been involved in main event scenes as well. Liv Morgan isn't on this show.
Exactly.
What's her name? It's gone for me now. Arm in the air, muscle, US. What's her name?
Lacey.
Lacey, there we go. Lacey. Lacey
Arm in the air.
She does the pose. She does the pose, doesn't she? Arm in the air. US muscles. That's the thing. Like military thing she was trying to do for a little bit. Anyway, point is, she's on the roster. And of course, NXT is still kind of, bringing up new talent, constantly as well. So, it's it would make sense, I think. The only reason why you don't need a secondary one, like a mid card one, is because you've got 2 world titles. So, see,
that's my theory. But I think the safest thing for them to do is have one main title and then 1 mid card, because by having 2 main titles, and this is no disrespect to the women, but
then you got to.
I don't think they're at the level that the guys are at the moment. Like Roman could have it, and then the US becomes the main one. Whereas with the women, you
kind of can't spread out over 2 shows anymore, though. If you do that, that's the only problem, So
that is a problem. Just have like a roaming one between Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah. So Daniel says, I think Sami will turn the Bloodline reunite with Kevin Owens. I don't see it tonight. It just feels too soon. Like, I think they're laying the seeds for that. And before earlier on tonight, Michelle came on the stream and she was saying about what happened to SmackDown, which I hadn't seen, that Kevin Owens was basically saying, look, it's you turn on them or they turn on you, which I think is great.
Yeah.
But
it's too soon.
It just feels too soon. Like, it's not too soon in some sense, in the sense of the story with Sami, but it's too soon in the kind of, like, it's kind of obvious. Like, the amount of people are saying it. So, like, you kind of need to, like, let it breathe a bit. And maybe it won't be like Kevin. I think Kevin is laying the seeds, and it's going to come because of the doubt that Kevin put in. And earlier on, when we were, discussing the idea of that someone said in the comments, who was it that said in the comments earlier on that Jay could do it and try and make it. There we go. It was another person called Jay. There we go. It was in our heavy Jay section, saying, what if Jay cost the team the match and then makes it look like it's Sammy's fault? Like, I think that's brilliant. And we've still got a lot to play with that as well. So, you said it as well, but your name's not Jay, so it doesn't count. But,
no, definitely not. But I said, if Jay was the reason for Sami to take let's say, for example, Jay got done something, Sammy's the one that got attacked and then took the pinfall.
Yeah,
it'll be because of Jay that Sami got attacked, or Sami took the finisher move or whatever it is. But then at the same time, I feel like because they've now planted the seed with Kevin Owens and the turn on them before they turn on you.
Yeah.
I think it's now with the seeds planted, Sammy's not going to do it. I think something
Yeah.
else. It needs to be Jay that turns on them.
I still think that Sami could win the Rumble. Go to
Bro, I would love
I
that.
still think that something like that could happen, but we'll see. Daniel also says that, touching on that segment we were just talking about there, that Jay was listening to the conversation that Sami and Kevin had as well. So, of course, yeah, like maybe that adds into that Jay's going to be the one to be like, look, he's planning on, like, he's been got at. Do you know what I mean? He's compromised. You know, Kevin is kind of, and there's too much of a risk. We need to get rid of him. So, obviously, the thing is going to look like Jay's paranoid.
It's playing on that though, isn't it? It's definitely playing on his paranoia.
But then it's that age-old thing in wrestling, isn't it? It's like what the wrestlers can't just watch the show and find out for themselves what happened last week. You know, like so. Yeah, but then again, hey, most people when they're done with work, they don't want to carry on. You know, I ain't watching the show. You know, So, yeah, I guess that's kind of believable as well. But either way, loving what they're doing. I know at times the Bloodline thing has got stale, but I think this isn't the time for it. I think
no,
there's fresh life in it because of the Sami Zayn stuff, and it doesn't feel like now. So, and whatever it is, whether it's him screwing Roman for the title, which is probably the biggest enders, you know, the furthest end of the scale, or whether it's going to be like today, which I would argue is the least kind of significant one, where he kind of leaves, and then what does he do after that? You know, like he feuds with them a bit, but that's it, really. You know,
my issue is if he feuds with them and then loses, what a waste of time. If he needs to feud with them, and then win, because that's going to be the moment where you think.
I guess like unless it was him and Kevin Owens then team up, and they beat the Usos, like that's the only way.
Yeah,
I can see something like that. Daniel says Joe turn on the Bloodline, but I wonder what happens to Jimmy if that happens. So yeah, that's the other side of it. Jay turning on the Bloodline. So if Jay turns on the Bloodline, but he's the heel, and that's the problem for me with that. Like, I mean, they're likable, like people cheer him, but they're the bad guys. But he's the most heel, because when they do cheer him, they don't like Jay, because Jay's going against the lovable Sami. And when they're all kind of joking and lighthearted, even though they're the heels, when they do that, he's the one that isn't. And that doesn't fit. Although I'm enjoying it, it doesn't quite fit with what I originally thought they'd do, because Jay was the one that came in facing off against Roman Reigns. And then Jimmy just came back and went, all right, I'm in there too, after like 2 weeks or a week, you know what I mean? So it felt like if Jay was going to do it, that was a year and a half ago. You know,
they'd have to do like a double turn, you know, like the Rock and Austin.
Yeah,
they'd have to double turn both of them at the same time. But I don't think they could pull it off. Like Sami is too over to. Everyone loves Sami, you know. I mean,
yeah, that won't work anyway. But it's just whether or not he could. I don't know.
Without getting political, when you go to a country where you're not welcome and then the crowd are chanting your name,
still cheering,
bro, that says
you know what it is. If Jay turns, but he helps Sami, that would be completely different. That would be completely different. You know, if he was, just that, because that would get a massive cheer. You know, like it looked like Jay was gonna, because he's always looking out for Sami. He's always against him. He's always suspicious of him. But he's the one that helps Sami in the end. Yeah, I think that'd be really good. And they could play that in a few different ways. You know, Sami could be about to do something and Jay is set on Sami. And then you think, oh, of course he's going to go after him. He hates him. Then he doesn't, you know, like... yeah, there's a lot they could do with it, but but that's what's exciting about it. You know, like you can talk for weeks, as we have done, months about Sami Zayn and the Bloodline and stuff like that, and that's why it's good. As long as it doesn't get stale again, I think we're doing all right at the moment. And where it is always in the calendar. We're on our way to the Rumble, and before you know it, WrestleMania is going to be here. So as long as they keep that in mind, again, it kind of depends what they're doing with Reigns at Mania. But yeah,
what we discussed, if the Bloodline win, we know nothing's happening in December for the Bloodline. At least Roman, nothing's happening. So we know full well that he's at least the titles are secure until January. I guess Rumble. So whatever happens next, I guess is we'll find out
then
tonight.
it has to be. I mean, surely the ideal scenario, if it's not The Rock, and by the way, they're showing the Rey Mysterio Thanksgiving dinner on the pre-show, by the way.
That's mad.
If it's not The Rock, I think The Rock is plan A, but plan B is Cody, and I think surely if Cody is well enough, the Rumble coming back is perfect timing, and then he goes all the way to Mania and beats him. Like they're the two kind of scenarios I can see. If it is The Rock, I hope he loses the title before The Rock, because I hope it's not for the title. But they're the two kind of versions that we can see. Another thing, just touching on the bloodline here, for Daniel says, I wonder why Solo is so quiet whenever the bloodline talk in the ring. I guess, is it his character, or is it because there's something deep stewing for him? Is he going to kind of, is he going to step in somewhere?
And I don't know how well this is going to go down on the stream, so
here we go.
You may need to edit this, but
I can't, mate. We're live.
Well, I'll say it anyway. It's not offensive.
Wait. I'm not sure about this anyway. When you start a phrase, can you write it to me in the comments, like in the private chat first, please?
I'll say it because it'll make you laugh. It's not bad. Solo Sikoa is like a fart. It's silent.
Okay, yeah.
Right, it's silent but deadly.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
As I said, that's not offensive. I just think
no.
He's a man of many words, and any words that he does say,
few words.
Yeah, man of few. Thank you.
You're the man of many words.
I am. But I think anything that he does say is followed up by a more physical action, and I think what he does in the ring really shines through as opposed to his promos. He's one of those guys that doesn't need to cut a big promo.
Yeah, and I think he's got to be kind of background. It's such a busy stable. There's so much going on, like already dynamic wise. He's best off to play that background role because people don't know him just yet as well, So I think it fits either way, whatever the reason for it. I reckon it probably is that, to be honest, but either way, I think it's working. We've got 15 minutes now until the show starts again. No kickoff match. I still don't know.
There's nothing happening.
Don't do this, but how long do you reckon the event's going to go on for, Rob? Because it's only 5 matches, but again, the War Games are bloody long ones. So
you think 3.5 hours?
3.5, not 4, not quite 4. I don't know if I can make it to 5 a.m.
I'll be honest. I don't know if I can make it to the end of this stream. I'm seeing more than double right now. I'm trying to keep it together though, guys. So comment if I'm doing a great
doing good, mate. You're doing good. All right, we'll start wrapping up then. On that note, mate, we'll get you tucked into bed.
I need a hot water bottle and everything.
No, I'm going to try and watch as much as I can tonight. But of course, the aim will be back. It will be to be back. Sorry, tomorrow for the recap and review. So again,
I'll be sober. I promise.
Well, it'd be a good day if you were. The aim is to be back for the recap and review tomorrow. What were we saying? Was it 5 o'clock our time? At the moment, we're penciled in for. Stream hasn't been set up on the channel just yet, but if you subscribe, you'll see it pop up very soon. Of course, you can save it for later or whatever it is. Really set up a reminder if you want to. But yeah, it should be 5 o'clock UK time. So wherever that is, wherever you are in the world. I know we've had guests tonight from Uganda, from New Zealand, over here in the UK as well. And it's been really good having everyone join us, as it always is on these build-up shows. They're always kind of wild, wacky streams. We started out with just myself chatting to the audience, and then we had Michelle joining us from a bar where she's about to go watch wrestling with dozens of people, and I'm sure that's going to be an experience. And then we had Rob joining us in this interesting state, and so many of your comments tonight have been great as well. I really do appreciate it. So thank you everyone that's come along. Again, join us tomorrow. That is the plan, at least to be here for the recap and review. If you haven't already, we do ask you to subscribe. If you joined us late and you want to see kind of some of the conversations we've had already, then go back and check the rest of this stream out as well from earlier on, because we do go in depth on certain kind of subjects that aren't necessarily tied into just tonight's event. So yeah, if you fancy hearing our in-depth takes on some of those things, then please check that out as well. As you mentioned earlier on, we do watch-alongs on this channel, especially when it comes up to certain anniversaries. So we did a 20th anniversary of Survivor Series 2002. So when you get time, if you fancy watching that show anytime soon, check the watch-along out that we did on this channel. We also did one for Survivor Series 2012. I've got to say, not as good of a show, but something big came out of it, of course, was the arrival of the Shield. What was you going to say there, Rob?
I agree with you. Nothing really big happened out of this show.
Not a great show.
But the Shield appeared.
Exactly. So if you want to see our full thoughts on the show, watch it along with us. But if you just want to hear us talk about the Shield, then of course we've uploaded a clip version of that stream as well very recently on this channel. As I mentioned, a lot of interviews that we've done throughout the last few months and years for Rebellious Noise as well. So if you fancy checking out those, then that'll be extra content for you to kind of get you through the week as well. Anyway, I've been Scott. I want to say thank you very much to Rob for coming on the stream over here. Thank you very much to Michelle, of course, who joined us earlier on. And again, everyone that's joined us, dropping in their comments, or even those that have just kind of watched in the background and didn't send their comments in. I know there are a fair few of you doing that as well. So we really do appreciate everyone joining us. And again, if you haven't already, please subscribe, and we'll be back very, very soon for some more wrestling content. Rob, anything you want to say before you get out of here, before you pass out?
I need a strong coffee, man.
All right. On that note, enjoy Survivor Series, buddy.
I'll try.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.